Man, my problem with traditional conservatives, really, obviously I have a lot of problems with the libtards, but let me address the traditional conservatives yet again. The traditional conservatives, they're slow. They are very slow. they they are I don't know what, like, the year they're always like 30, 40 years behind. I know there's always a time and place for traditionalism and stuff like that, but the people in that represent who they are, meaning the mainstream people, meaning the people in the mainstream that represent who they are and who tradcon people tend to flock to, or who Republicans will use as an example. These people be they're slow. They're very slow. So here you have Candace Owens reacting to Orange Man's um, conviction, right? So her tweet, let's take a look, right? And like I said, tradcons, I'm not saying they're more sensitive than liberals, but they're sensitive. They're very sensitive. So I don't want to see, because I will have my opinions on certain tradcons, and I will see these people all up in my comment section saying nonsense. Like, I remember when I said my thing about Jesse Lee Peterson, my opinion and all that. These people still to this day all up in my my comment section over an opinion. And by the way, with the Jesse Lee Peterson thing, that story didn't come from the liberals. That came from the people in his own camp. That came from 21 Studios. They made the hit piece. Last time I checked, 21 Studios isn't CNN. They're like the opposite of CNN. So that's why I was just like, there might be validity to this. And I still think there is. Now, I don't believe there was no assault. I don't think there was no assaults and people taking advantage of. No, but I believe everything there was consensual. And I'm gonna just leave it at that. Now, Candace Owens says this about Orange Man's conviction. She says, "We just live in a banana republic, guys. Time to just accept that nothing is legitimate, not the media, our elections, or the courts. This guilty verdict doesn't shame Orange Man; it shames our country." Now, this would be my question for somebody like a Candace Owens. Where the hell have you been for the past 20 years? Where the hell have you been? A banana republic? This is something I've heard from dudes in the 90s and 80s have said this about this country, right? She says nothing is legitimate, not the media, our elections, or the courts. Like I said, where have you been? Where have you been? Did you ever think it was legitimate? Or I'll say this, let me address the Caucasian conservatives, right? They when in the 90s, when OJ Simpson was found innocent by the court of law, right? That was probably the first time. I'm talking about Caucasian people. That was probably the first time they were like, man, something's wrong with the system. That was probably the first time they're just like, man, something's wrong with the system. And it's just like, so that's what it took for you. It took for a Caucasian, a young, well, she wasn't young per se, but it took a Caucasian cokehead 304 to get killed, who was probably killed by drug dealers, but that's a whole nother story. That's we can address that at another time. But that's what it took for you. And seeing OJ Simpson coming up there with his money and his team of lawyers, which this is what every rich person does, so they can get so they can be found innocent, because nobody's trying to be in prison. That was probably the first time they realized, man, the system is broken. And you're just like, and you're just as the average person that's watching the banana republic on a daily basis. I'm wondering how does it take you that long for you to come to this conclusion? But people don't understand president when a certain president takes place. President, right? Not the president. A president. I don't know how else to say it, right? Like I said, when Bill Cosby got in trouble with his case, when I was in high school, I was like, this is crazy. If this goes through, if this goes through, every man is in trouble. I'm talking about every man is in trouble. If a 304 from from years past could just come through and just say, "Oh, I don't remember what happened to me, but I think this is what happened to me." Even though like this you had 304s, paid 304s coming out against Cosby. Meanwhile, I'm like, okay, let me get this correct. Out of all the places in the world, you're at a Playboy mansion to party. Out of all the places they're not, and a lot of them, they weren't celebrities. They weren't celebrity. A lot of them weren't well-known women that came out. These were just paid 304s at the time, or wandering or curious 304s at the time, and they were there to party. And the way they would party back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, they would party a certain way, and pills were involved. That's how they get down. That's how people got down in that mansion, and people knew this. But out of all the places in the world, you decide to be there. And now you want to come out 50, 60 years later, 40 years later, way past the statute of limitations. And then we could just say Bill Cosby did this. And you know who dropped the ball on this? Not white people, not black women, black male comedians, black men specifically in the celebrity world. Not black men in general, but I'm talking about black male comedians. You know why they didn't stand up for Bill Cosby being done wrong? Because they're sensitive. You had a bunch of black male comics who were sensitive because they were mad that Bill Cosby had critiques over their style of comedy and how, Bill Cosby, he's an OG. He has his opinion on how things should be, and he thought that the comedies, the comedians were too dirty and they were using profanity, and he didn't like that. And he had his opinion on stuff that he thought black men should be doing. Now, once these cases started coming out against Cosby, you know what black male comedians did? They were just like, serves you right. You ain't no angel either. And I'm just like, at the time, I'm like, this is not how the response should be. We should be literally like joining the pro blacks almost and be like, nah, this is ridiculous. But like I said, the black male comedians, they're very sensitive. I believe people are very sensitive. People want to act like they're not sensitive, but I believe 90+% of people are very, very sensitive, including me. I'm included in that. I will not lie to you up here and be like, I'm not a sensitive person. But what I like to do, I want to make sure, even if I don't like the person, or if I see a case, especially something like this, when it comes to 304 saying something that happened back I got to look at it. I got to get all my facts before I make my opinion. That's what I do most times, even for the people that I like and I don't like. That's what I try to make sure I do, because I know I'm a sensitive person. But like I said, the black male comedians, they did nothing. They laughed and they didn't realize the terrible precedent that was being set. Then you saw every other male celebrity. Me Too. Then R. Kelly, right? Then Brett Kavanaugh, right? People were saying all this stuff about Bill Cosby, and then they didn't realize they're gonna pull that same ish on Brett Kavanaugh. People didn't see this avalanche coming with this whole Me Too stuff, which was basically started Project Zero with Bill Cosby, and certain men let the ball drop on that, in my opinion, because they didn't want to be seen as creepy by other women by supposedly defending a predator. But really, you should have it's just defending facts. But like I say, men have no balls when it comes to this this discussion. Anyways, the avalanche of what happens when we let shit slide, and then we get shocked, because they've been on Orange Man's case about this for years now, and it's like this was clearly a mock case. Of course Orange Man was going to get found. He was going to be found guilty of this. The case was literally called the Hush Money Trial. So what were they going to do? He was obviously going to get a guilty verdict for this. Obviously, it was going to be impossible for him to be found innocent, because this is a paid 304. What are you going to say? He's innocent of not moving funds around to cover up that he paid for the 304. We already know he paid for the 304. He was actually suing the 304 for dishonoring her non-disclosure agreement. So this was always a mock case, in my opinion. So I knew he was going to be found guilty. So, but like I say, the traditional conservatives, they don't understand, like, I don't know why they still think values, God, America, country. They think that's what's running the country. They think that's what was running the country even back then. No, man, this is gangster stuff, right? This is all fugazi. It's always been like that. This is where I'll be wondering, like, where do you guys What they do is they use certain people as project zeros, beta test subjects, and they see what they can get away with. And most of the times, as Americans, we fail that test. We fail that test most times. They put certain shit out there. They start with the lowest rung people, the easy pickings, the easy targets to see if this will stick on him. Okay, this didn't work. Okay, let's try this. Okay, let's. Everything that you see with like the single mother epidemic that we have, this was all planned. This all started. Black community. This is a Frankenstein experiment gone wrong. Frankenstein experiment gone wrong. This single mother epidemic that we have. That's all that is. And low key, it could have been stopped. But what happens is when certain bad things happen to certain communities, what men do, I'm talking about particularly men, what men do is they use those things to virtue signal so they can make themselves look good to their group of women. And I'm talking about this happens. This is what black men do this, white men do this, Latinos do this, but I will say specifically American black and American white men do this the most. A white kid will shoot up a school and they'll be like, oh, you see, this is what white people be doing. Instead of analyzing, how did he get to this position? Black man gets a bad rap for quote unquote not taking care of their kids until now they realize, oh, they were actually being separated from their kids. Or now that everybody's going through it, they're realizing that women are using the system to separate the biological father from the kids for more money. And now people are starting to realize where this is all stemming from. But it's too late, because when people see certain people go through something, they use it a virtue signal. Like I said, let me bring up the white, if white kids get caught shooting up a school, right? And instead of people realize, okay, where's this stemming from? What is this? Okay, what is his background? Instead of the, oh man, what the white boys, well, they pulling their back, they reach into their back, their their backpack. You already know. Until you start doing the research, then you start seeing their backgrounds. A lot of them broken homes, a lot of them on pills. But like I said, the pharmaceutical companies is one of the biggest rackets that there is. Nobody's allowed to criticize them. Nobody, right? So we let them slide, just a virtue signal. Or they talking about, oh man, white dudes be killing their spouses and whatnot and blah blah blah. And now you start seeing viral videos of black men killing their spouses, and now people are starting to see why that is. Why certain stuff happens when you actually look at the research. And I remember one black dude when he was killing, he killed his spouse, and then he made that Facebook video, and I already know what happened. His spouse was playing games on him, threatening to separate his kids from him, and this was his second, I think, baby mother or second wife. I don't know, and he didn't want that to happen to him again, so he snapped. What a lot of black men don't understand, particularly when it comes to white women, they will put gag orders on their husbands. They will put so they could be getting. I'm talking about ripped a clean new one in court. They can't talk about it. You'll just hear the older white guys say, "Happy wife, happy life," and they'd be like, "Man, why is this guy such a simp?" Or why is it you don't understand? He can't talk about what's going on with him. He's getting robbed, but because his wife knows the system just as well as he does, he can't do anything. He's just being reamed. You know what I mean? So there are certain things that men have dropped the ball. Men have dropped the ball when it comes to these things. So, like I said, all of these situations, a lot of the times men have dropped the ball, in my opinion. I blame men for this. The reason why we're in this position where now you can pay a 304 for her silence. She doesn't honor her silence, and you can still get in trouble for that. Do you understand that's a terrible precedent to set? So right now you're gonna have all the liberals, celebrating. You're gonna have all the simp black men celebrating this case, but they don't realize the precedent that's being set. So now, because what people don't understand, especially when it comes to these IG models and their little fugazi businesses that they have in their links in their bios, what people don't understand is, and what the rich CEOs or the people with money, what they do is, instead of paying her directly for her services, right? The IG model for her services, right? Instead of paying her directly, what they do, and stay with me, stay with me here. What they do is they put the money in her business. in her little candles business, whatever, or is she selling um a tummy tea, right? Stomach team, or a cleanser that she's selling, or her coaching program, whatever, her life coaching program that she's selling. So whatever fugazi business, you really think those IG models are making money off they're making money primarily off of their the candles that they're selling in the bio? No, tricks are paying them, but they're paying them directly through their businesses. So they'll always be having these giveaways. Okay, I got these giveaways for my products. Try it out. But really, it's been paid by tricks. So instead of paying $1,000 directly for her services, if you know what I'm saying, they put the $1,000 in her business. So she has all this stuff technically for free, right? That she can just give away for free, and it helps her with her promo. But really, the tricks bought like $1,000 worth of product, so she has this amount of product to use to do giveaways and all this stuff. So, like I said, an IG model's a full blown paid 304 if she's always doing giveaways on her. Anyway, that's a whole nother trick, that people don't know about. So, if men start getting caught with, like I said, if Orange Man can get in trouble for this, if men start getting audited about how they're moving their funds, because a lot of them, they put the monies that they pay for 304s, they put it under her LLC, her separate thing, but it's really for her services. But if they start doing audits on that, and these rich people start getting audited for that, it's gonna mess up the game. Like this right here, for him to be found guilty of this is gonna mess up the game. This is gonna mess up the game where you can't even pay a 304 for her silence. This is not good. Meaning, but specifically where he's being found guilty for moving funds around, quote unquote, to cover up for paying for a 304. So this is a terrible precedent that has been set. But this has also been set because men dropped the ball 10 years ago in 2014 with the Bill Cosby situation, with this whole Me Too nonsense that we have let run out of control. We've let this Me Too thing have we've dropped the ball on this. And I'm so sick and tired, particularly other trad cons, on being late to the party. I'm very tired and sick of the trad cons being late to the party, because I already know what's going to happen to men in the future. I already know what's going to happen to men that are using seeking arrangements right now, men that are flying women out. I'm telling you, 10 years later, 15 years later, these men are going to get charged. They're going to say, these women are going to say like, oh, I was young and dumb and I was being manipulated and I was trafficked. They're going to say, if you fly because they already, I'm telling you, they're going to start saying, if you fly in 304s out, even if you give if you're flying women out to see you, they're going to say that's trafficking. I'll take it a step further. If you pay for a woman to get an Uber to your house, you know what they're going to say? They're going to say that's trafficking in the future. I'm telling you. And what they're going to do, they're going to pin a case like that on a person that you don't like in the media. Right? So obviously Orange Man is very hated amongst the normies. So who's another very hated individual, or somebody is guilty of stuff, but they're going to pin some stuff? So I can see somebody like a Jay-Z or a Drake, right? If they have a fall from grace, they're going to get a case pinned on them. And it's going to be like, oh, he flew me out, or he paid for my Uber. I felt trafficked. I felt taken advantage of. And literally the case is going to be like, okay, trafficking under case of the vehicle transportation. You're like, wait, hold on. So because he paid an Uber, he's being charged with sex trafficking. That's what's going to happen. It's going to happen to one of these guys, a Jay-Z or Drake. Who else who's on the cusp of being exposed? Or LeBron James, one of these people. One of these people, or whatever Republican candidate that has real promise, they're going to be put at whatever, particularly any white male conservative that's been running and that has great numbers. They're going to pull a case like that on them, and it's going to stick. It's going to be so terrible. It's so terrible, and I see it coming. It is what it is. But yeah, I just wanted to take this time to vent. That's just my opinion. But like I said, conservatives, y'all are late to the party. Y'all are late to the party. You guys are very late to the party.